ladder with Crowder. I done pushed the beds together.
Now why would you go and do a stupid thing like that?
I thought we could cuddle.
Cuddle? Think I won't get up and bed next to you with them cold feet thanks to your lack of circulation from your varicose veins? You're out of your mind. Just quit bothering me, Josephine.
What's wrong, Colton? Why are you so stressed?
I've been working all damn day. I'm trying to unwind with my mud club watching Ladder with Crowder. And you keep interrupting it. That's why I'm stressed. Thank you for asking, Josephine. I hope I've clarified that shit.
You haven't worked 1 minute today, Colton.
I got a check, didn't I?
That don't count. You just got it from the mailbox.
That's right. I'm on disability for the pain I feel every damn day. A, my plantar fasciitis, and B, it's the one I don't get a check being married to you.
Join Mug Club today for $89 annually, or try it mugless for $9 a month. You can sign up at ladderwithcredit.com/mugclub for the entire catalog, including Nick DiPaolo, Brian Callen, the Hodge Twins, Mr. Guns and Gear, and of course, Alex Jones, along with 100% more of this show.
Even the shit like you post, I don't know. I got all kinds of shit. Well, actually, that was from my manager. It was a brawl in some deli in New York, a bodega, and it was these young black kids just tearing up the deli, and there was a thing of bananas on the counter that never get touched. I just put that up there. Okay, imagine the bananas again. You know, my manager yanked it down, my wife, and she started to fucking pack up, got a U-Haul. I said, you bitch. No.
He's the OG. He has his own show here in Mug Club, Monday through Thursday, 5 p.m. Eastern. Nick DiPaolo. Called a pre-sip thing.
It happens.
It's like with wine. You know, they aerate. They aerate the wine.
Yeah, in your mouth.
They do it so that that way they can taste all the tannins and look like an affected prick. So I did that.
Hey, it worked.
Right now, yeah. Look, today is a full house. Today's theme is about not only re-platforming, but providing a platform to those who have been persecuted politically. And I don't just say that. It's not just my opinion. Let's bring up the rundown. We have Alex Jones on the show, some recent hidden camera footage from Sound Investigations. As we now know definitively that the American government, the FBI, CIA, three-letter agencies were going after Alex Jones to bankrupt him, even though he didn't actually do what he was accused of doing. They admit it on camera. Then we have Paulo Figueiredo on the show. He is a journalist from Brazil, and we have an update on Elon Musk and Brazil, but specifically the corruption with the Supreme Court going on there. One guy who went after a magazine that was critical of the government, and then after that, he decided to remove people from social media. After that, went to Elon Musk, asking him to remove other accounts, had this man's bank accounts frozen, social media, where he was deplatformed, and even had his passport revoked. This has happened in Brazil. It traces back to one guy. We're living under a rule of fascism, and I don't know if the United States has the moral high ground. That's my question for you today. Does the United States have the moral high ground like we used to? When you see what we're doing here, I think it's the greatest country in the world, but we might have missed a step. So we'll be talking about that. If at any point today, I would imagine this could happen, you'll see this on YouTube. Head on over to Rumble, which is one of the few places that actually allows people to speak freely. It's a live show. Weekdays, 10 a.m. Eastern. So all that and more, but it's kind of it's a theme show. Guests, and let them know you love them. Comment below because they could use your support. Replacing Captain Morgan, CEO, because he just had a child. He's not with child anymore. Is in second chair, Mr. Do we have his?
Yeah.
What happened? All right.
Hey.
April 16th, he's going to be at the Addison Improv in Texas. Jay Firestine for the other dates. One of my favorite clubs in the country. A lot of fun. Good people there. How are you doing, Josh?
Good. I'm excited to be there.
Smooth as a baby's bottom.
Yes, my face is naked. I feel like I don't know, like I'm a woman without makeup and fake eyelashes and lip filler.
Were you a woman without those things, or you're a woman with those things?
I never feel like a woman, actually. I want to take that back.
Yeah. Shania Twain feels like a woman when she wears men's shirts. I never understood that song.
She does wear
Why is that in the lyrics? Short skirts, men's shirts. I'm like, well, this is a song about being a woman.
She's trying to convince us.
I don't know.
I'm not convinced.
It wouldn't be my go-to.
Canadians are tricky.
Or to say, I feel like a man, and then say satin panties. In third chair, you know him, you can watch him here on Mug Club, 5 p.m. Eastern. He's going to be in Red Bank, New Jersey, May 11th. The funniest man alive. You can see all of his dates at nickdip.com. Mr. DePaulo, how are you?
Very good, sir. How are you? And I like to take that shirt off, Shania.
Hey, now.
I could feel like a woman again, know what I'm saying?
I'd like to switch up your wardrobe because you're full Canadian tuxedo
Well,
today.
for Christ's sake, I'm sitting down. Oh, you can see my jeans.
I know.
God damn it. I thought it would be the shot from here up. I know, I get hit on by 2 gay guys at a bus stop on the way here.
Yeah, well, that was also the leather hat. Didn't help.
Both from Vancouver.
All right, so Alex Jones and Paulo Figueiredo, which, by the way, is like John Smith in Brazil. Paulo, very common name. Figueiredo. I know Silva. I know like 15 Silvas.
I know every fighter in the UFC. Whether you're watching early prelims, there's at least 11 Silvas.
Yeah, there's a bunch of Silvas. Quite a few Figueiredos, but a lot of Silvas. Before we get to that, this is the... Okay. Look, there are differences of opinions. That happens, okay? And I can respect that, mostly. Then there are people who may be uneducated on an issue. Then there are people who are an actual liability to this country as representatives because they're actually retarded. I mean, actually mentally retarded. There's no other way to put it. So on the day of the eclipse, Democratic Congresswoman, and you're going to say, that's harsh. You're going to see.
No, it's not.
Harsh, my ass. Your understatement.
Sheila Jackson Lee, Democratic Congresswoman, she told...
bitch.
School children, and here's the thing, there are multiple failure points when she describes the moon to children that she didn't need to insert, but she chose to. Everything is wrong, and it's not a misspeak, it's ongoing.
Sometimes you've heard the word full moon, and sometimes you need to take the opportunity just to come out and see a full moon is that complete rounded circle, which is made up mostly of gases.
Yay for affirmative action.
The question is why or how could we as humans live on the moon?
That's made of gas.
The gas is such that we could do that. The sun is a mighty powerful
Oh,
heat.
my God.
It is almost impossible
Almost.
to go near the sun.
Almost.
The moon
Almost.
is more manageable.
Yes, because it's
And you'll
gas.
see
Oh, my God.
in a moment, or not a moment, you'll see in a couple of years that NASA is going back to the moon.
They're going back to the moon, but right now it's got a rocket in its eye. I seen it. It's hard to get. It's almost difficult to get too close to the sun. No, Sheila Jackson Lee. If you get within 3 miles of the sun, this happens. Sheila Jackson lied to me. My point is, don't use her advice.
Look,
She just went out there and said, you know what, let me create an entire backstory and describe that which the moon is not. It's almost as though that was her mission. It's made of gas, which is going to be hard for us to walk on it.
Retarded.
We can do it, but we got to figure it out. And then the sun is almost as hot as the moon.
We can now officially confirm that the moon is not made of cheese.
It's not made of cheese. I thought, the worst part is the guy behind him. Let's watch this again and watch the guy. He's like, yes, made of gas. Learn something new every day.
I thought I was going to smack her.
You've heard the word full moon. And sometimes you need to take the opportunity just to come out and see a full moon is that complete rounded circle, which is made up mostly of gases.
Love is a circle.
No, that's Joy Behar.
The question is why or how could we as humans live on the moon? The gas is such that we could do that.
Oh, my
Such
The sun is a mighty powerful heat.
He says, yes, it is. Finally, it's something we can all be on board with. Sun's hot.
My brother has Down syndrome, and even on a nice hot day in Vegas where he lives, he's like, no, go outside. Too hot.
Yes.
Too hot. Sun is hot. And I'm like, yeah, you fucking nailed it. The sun is hot.
She get her scientific research from Smash Mouth. And here's the scary part. I don't know if you know, Jackson Lee is a congresswoman from Houston, where, I don't know if you know who resides in Houston. NASA! NASA is in Houston, and many of them will vote for her.
Good points she made.
It's not inconsequential. And I got to imagine that some won't because she's caused problems for them.
Houston, we have a problem.
The question is why or how could we as humans live on the moon? Are the gases
Well, that explains it.
If you see them at a gasoline station on the moon,
That's
get in
it.
their faces.
I've been to the moon. There's like a million sickos. Exxon. Quick Trip. What?
Shale.
It's made of gas, and it's just no one around her. This is someone I've talked about this before. There aren't enough people around her going, you should shut up.
I don't believe in white supremacy, but she makes it very hard. Statements like that. And who's it? Maxine Waters? Is that her name?
They're the same person in my
James
mind.
Brown.
Yes, they're the same person in my mind.
Fucking stupid. Yeah. Oh my God.
Moon is made of gas, and we're gonna figure it out. I mean, it's not without its challenges to live on a ball of gas. It's almost like we fall through.
Such a racist country. She's a powerful woman. You got to be dog styling me.
Yes, such a racist country. She represents the workers of NASA.
Stupid mother.
It just kept getting worse. And I watched it, I'm like, no, okay, it's a misspeak. It's made of gas. Then she went on to, but we're still going, that's why it's almost hard to find out how we can live on it. I'm like, oh, this is not going to get better.
Let's put her in charge of that project.
Yes.
Put her to sleep.
The sun is a mighty heat. Yes.
It's a mighty heat.
It's like she was describing wings.
Exactly. Wild Wings has a mighty heat.
It's hot.
Mild hotter than mighty motherfucking heat.
It's hot. It's hotter than Asian thing. Not quite blazing, but it's up there. So, coming up, I don't know. You could cut. I get that it's funny, but it's also terrifying.
It is terrifying.
It really is scary. And you can hit the like button, of course, if you're watching on YouTube, wherever you are, because the algorithm does not want you to see the Brazilian journalist who we're going to have on, Paulo Figueiredo or Alex Jones. We're going to be talking with them quite a bit today. All right. Have you been following the Alex Jones saga? I don't know if you guys have been.
I did. You sent me stuff to read last night. So
yes.
I'm following. He's a hero.
He's
an absolute hero, an American treasure. I know I don't know him that well, but God damn it.
He's the OG, really. He is. So there was an undercover report, Sound Investigations. Go and show them some love. They're doing some great work. This was
Is that your guys?
No, they're not our guys. No, we've worked with them, but they had their hands on this, and
this is beautiful.
Good stuff. The CIA contracting officer. I want to make sure I get these names right. Gavin O'Blennis actually on camera talked about how the agency operates and how it takes down voices that they don't like, and he basically talked about how they use these tactics against Alex Jones. The goal was to bankrupt him, and they just sort of get some people to do their bidding, and I know that people have said this before, and it's easy to put some distance between yourself and someone like Alex because he's a character, and he's incredibly passionate, and sometimes he gets some things wrong, but he's out there taking the hits, and they can do this to anyone. If they can do this to Alex Jones, if in Brazil they can do it to Figueiredo, of course, not only can they do it to you, they are doing it to many of you. Here's the other side of it. Alex Jones does have a platform, so he's one of the people you know about. You don't know about the guy who's an accountant, where these tactics are used against them. Why? They're not a public figure. It happens all the time. Here's proof. This is the CIA. I want to make sure I have his title right because they could sue for that. Contracting Officer Gavin O'Blennis on Alex Jones.
Terrific, this guy.
So they can entrap some of these pro-lifers into doing things that they don't.
Yeah. We call it a nudge.
A nudge.
A nudge.
Who would be like a big influencer that you're after? You're like I don't know, like I don't even know these names, like a Fox News person or like a Tucker Carlson or like.
Oh, I'm sure he's on the radar, right? You always want the biggest and loudest. Like that, what was his name? The one that said Sandy Hook didn't happen.
Alex Jones.
Yeah, so we were after him.
You are? Are you still after him?
Yeah.
Why?
Because he's broke. He got found guilty and had to pay like $100 million.
So why were you after him?
We're not anymore.
Just to get the money from him?
Yeah.
So with Alex Jones, you were watching him long before anything ended up happening.
Probably. It wasn't my office, but I mean, we would have been well aware of what he was doing.
And the goal with him was what? Just to bankrupt him?
Pretty much. And we let the families do it.
And what?
We let the families do it.
Were they encouraged to do that by the Bureau? Like nudged?
We don't encourage people.
But like...
We just say there's no federal statute being broken. But you do have the option for a civil case. And it's a pretty good case.
Nice.
In our opinion.
So, that makes so much sense. I have a cousin who's a lawyer. So that's a lot of these cases. They're kind of encouraged by the FBI.
Yeah, like there's nothing federal law we can do, but civilly, we can go at him that way and chop his legs off.
And they did.
Yeah.
So the FBI was happy.
We didn't care. We were like, oh.
Basically, the citizens did your job.
Yeah.
Wow, so you can encourage a civil lawsuit.
Not encourage. Educate.
What can you do with people like Alex Jones now? Because he's still out there.
Yeah.
He's still chirping.
He can chirp.
Are you still watching him?
Yeah.
Why?
We did what we wanted.
Which was what?
Took his money away. We shut him up for a while. You're never going to shut him up permanently.
Well, unless you put him in prison.
But again, he didn't do anything to go to prison. Being ignorant is not a crime, though it should.
It is. I mean, what if you could bring a nudge?
He did incite a riot, like Cheeto.
I thought you said that there were FBI agents in the crowd at J6.
There always are when there's a big protest in D.C. Just in case it gets out of hand like that. But there wasn't enough to turn that tide. I mean, I'm talking they maybe have 20. You needed 1,000 to get rid of that crowd.
So they had like, that was just 20?
Yeah, just to go through and observe and see what they can hear, that kind of thing.
Wow. Definitely. They needed 1,000 at least.
Well,
Wow.
see, that's also Capitol Police jurisdiction. They're in charge.
So the
Why they
FBI,
didn't have more on hand, I don't know.
the Bureau didn't really want people knowing that they were in the crowd.
Mm-hmm.
Because that would be overstepping their
A
bounds.
little bit.
Do people know that?
Why?
Did people know that the Bureau was in the crowd?
Nope, and probably never will.
You know agents that were there?
Mm-hmm.
Really?
Yeah. The agency now.
They probably never will. New rules!
Wow.
Everyone knows. He thought that because, of course, they deplatform and arrest people who insinuate that there were agents in the crowd. We've had episodes removed here on this channel. So what they do is they remove people who actually point out the truth, admit behind closed doors, well, yeah, that's the truth. We just remove them, though. There's no crime here. It's just, we'll have people go after him civilly. Think about that there are federal, and he also said the exact same things that we have been saying as far as it was under the Capitol Police jurisdiction, and Nancy Pelosi refused to send more Capitol Police when they were requested. Everything we have been talking about is confirmed here, and that's why they targeted Alex Jones. That's why we have been targeted here. That's why you have governments, for example, in Brazil, removing creators. Rumble is no longer available in Brazil as they fight this legally right now, and they take it up. I don't know where they're going to take it because it's a corrupt court, but we'll figure it out. If you want to see the whole clip, go follow actually Sound Investigations on X at Sound Investig, I believe is their handle. We'll bring it up here for you guys, and we'll have links in the description. I think the full video is 8+ minutes, and I'm just getting word right now. I just heard this from Mission Control that. I want to say Dennis O'Blennis. Gavin O'Blennis. Blennis Leary. His LinkedIn has now been removed. There's your before and after.
Huh. Excellent.
Think about that for a second. He just removed it. People have said sunlight is the best disinfectant, sometimes grain alcohol, but the principle remains, they don't like this operating in the light. Now, I don't know if this is admissible. I don't know how this plays out in the appeals with these cases. I don't know. It certainly should be relevant when you're a private citizen up against some of the most powerful agencies who have a never-ending supply of federal funding and you have a target on your back. It seems that you should. They want to make Alex Jones seem like the big guy. Biggest lawsuit. Why? Because he's a multi-millionaire. This is the FBI and CIA. They are the bully. Alex Jones is a guy with a radio show and a podcast. They want Pravda. It seems this O'Blennis guy, he just effectively committed career suicide.
Oh, yeah, that reminds me, actually. Last week I did an audition for the sequel of Wizard of Oz. I auditioned to be a Munchkin.
What does that have to do with...
Tim, roll it.
Send in the next audition for the Munchkin. No. Get out. Go. Now.
Yeah, I understand it was a bird. There was no Munchkin.
What?
No Munchkin hung themselves.
No, I refuse to believe that.
Also not the best thing to lead with if it's not in the script. Alex Jones is going to join us to discuss this and more. You can see his response at band.video. You can follow him on Twitter at RealAlexJones. And, of course, on Friday, his exclusive Mug Club show. He has been taking a well-needed break for a little bit. So you can go to mugclub.rumble.com and sign up there. We're excited to have him on. It's one of those things. I've talked about this in the past. Let me know when we do have Alex on. Also, I guess you just told me Oblenis's Facebook has been removed too.
Yep. Dennis Oblenis.
So professionally, LinkedIn is gone.
How about his Grindr account?
No, of course not.
he's still grinding away.
I'm willing to bet you that there are a lot of fake accounts.
That guy made Liberace look like Ray Lewis.
Also on his Grindr, he plays the piano on a typewriter.
Why was he so forthcoming? Who was interviewing him? A shirtless Ryan Reynolds?
Yeah, these.
Truman Capote. We arrest everybody. Can I get some more cheese over here?
And they all think they're so clever. That's the thing.
What a pompous big
And
girl.
Donald Trump, Cheeto. I call him Cheeto because orange. See how I'm clever? No, we see how you're horny and lonely.
I'd like to kick him in the snatch.
Guys will literally say anything to get laid.
Yes. And gay men.
I know, to another guy.
Gay men, they're the most decadent people in the world.
I like him, but Jesus sakes.
Wait, you like him? No, you like them, the gays.
Yes.
Not
gays.
him.
Not this fellow. This guy's a little... I don't feel good about the country when he worked for the FBI, CIA.
Yeah.
What are you saying, Nick? They can't do the job? Yes. So anyways, go ahead.
No, I agree with you. The worst part about that whole video is I own that shirt.
Yeah, I know. You, him, and Ellen DeGeneres.
Yes. It's not the shirt's fault, to be clear. It's let he who doesn't have a shirt that a gay man once wore cast the first, choker.
I got a feeling he's got this jacket, too. How do I buy something manly? It turns into a big fag joke. I don't understand.
I like it. Come on.
I do
like
too.
It.
I haven't had one of these in a long
jacket.
time.
Yeah, you look like you should be Jimmy Braddock, either working down in the docks or one of the Village People when you pair it with the jeans. It could go either way. All right, I believe we have him on the line. The OG, the man who is the belle of the ball. Let's bring him on. Alex Jones. Mr. Jones, you're not calling from your studio here today. Can you see me and hear me, sir?
Yes, sir. I can see you. I've been watching and enjoying the broadcast, and I'm in a hotel, but I come back to Texas today, and so I took a few days off here with the family. But as you said, I'm going to be back busy putting out those Mug Club reports just as soon as I get back, and it's great to be here with you.
No, well, I wish. I don't know if these are joyful circumstances. It's not because of what you've been through, but it's always at least somewhat of a win as far as a small battle when the truth comes out. Let me ask you this. What was your reaction when you first saw that video? Was it mixed emotions? Because and we know that you've been railroaded. Did you feel some kind of elation because there was confirmation, or was it mostly just anger because you're seeing someone blatantly admit it?
Well, I actually heard about the video from you guys. I don't know if you know that. They've been trying to contact me for a week, and of course it was just going into a black hole. I have a great crew, but they don't check the tens of thousands of emails we get a day properly. Don't know how they could. And then one of your producers called and said, hey, they're trying to get a hold of you. And I knew who the group was, of the folks that exposed Pornhub targeting children, and also Planned Parenthood selling 8.5-month-old aborted baby parts illegally.
Yeah.
So it's a very, very credible group that kind of split off Project Veritas, very similar to your investigative unit. And so I contacted him, and I went and checked and saw that Oblenis was who he said he was, formerly with the FBI, and then a contract manager for the CIA. That doesn't mean he's a contractor. He would just manage the contracts with their contractors. So he was like a technical guy. And I knew everything he was saying. I've been through it. And that's why I've talked about the SH thing, but I don't even like to say the name because it's a tar baby. They've got this HBO show out that's total fiction. And they tried to rope me in to respond to that, to sue me again. Mm-hmm. And so I've just tried to stay away from it. But the process of what happened, I knew right when Trump won, and suddenly they were having some days hundreds of articles a day, nightly news every night. I mean, we're talking tens of thousands of articles over a 2-year period. That it was a big PR firm, and it was a government operation. They were having congressional hearings about how they wanted to take me off the air. They were saying I was a Russian agent. And so I was like, why are they saying I'm the SH guy when I barely ever hardly talked about it, just covered the internet doubting it? I wasn't the guy that first said that. They introduced 22 minutes in court of me. I hadn't talked about it before they sued me for 2 years, right? Because I had already knew it was some kind of weird, propaganda operation. And then after they had the 2 defaults and told the juries I was guilty and rigged those cases and had the HBO cameras in there and everything with the judge putting on makeup and all the rest of it, the PR firms came out 2 years ago when they won the rigged cases and said, we've been running this the whole time.
Right.
We didn't like Alex Jones, so we went and took what he said, blew it all up in 2016. 17, they basically embellished it to the power of 10. And then built that straw man that I was currently sitting people in their houses and currently peeing on graves. Never did any of that. No one ever did any of that. And
this
so
man, by the way, this man he admitted that. He admitted that there was nothing that you had done that was criminal. That's what's so scary. He says, yeah, but we have other ways to damage him. Let's just bankrupt him. We've talked about this, right? There are the courts, which obviously are corrupt very often. And then there's the court of public opinion where there's no accountability. And he was saying, we know, effectively what I'm seeing is him saying, we know we can influence the courts through abusing the court of public opinion. So it's important now when you talk about HBO, you talk about these networks, for people to understand the FBI, the CIA, this administration, and these networks, along with big tech platforms, they're often one and the same. Let me ask you this too. Did it surprise you at all when he admitted that the FBI was there January 6th? Because I know that when you were here, you said, look, January 6th, there were a bunch of people who were rabble-rousers. It was a small minority of people, but it was enough that it was significant and they need to be charged with threat. You've been very consistent with that. But there were FBI agents present. He just confirmed it. Did that surprise you? I mean, it's a leading question, but...
It didn't surprise me. And when he said 20, that was probably just FBI agents. I mean, we know that there were some people that got into the heat of it and the police fired tear gas and then people broke in, but then the police opened the doors and brought everybody in, and now little old ladies are getting 6 months in jail for just walking through the velvet ropes.
Right.
But it didn't surprise me. But it did surprise me that he would sit there and just openly talk to a camera and openly brag about all these activities that he's obviously inside the FBI and the CIA, and they're discussing. So I know he's telling the truth because I experienced it, and without getting into all the technicals, but it's very historic and very important.
Yeah.
The law firm out of Connecticut that quarterbacked all this is a high-level Democrat Party law firm. Senator Blumenthal's heavily involved in it and his family. I'm going to leave it at that, but it's on record. The stolen valor guy that never went to Vietnam but said he was a Marine Corps combat veteran and was never, he was actually like a gopher at the Capitol for the Marines, part of his quasi-draft dodging. The lead lawyer there is a former federal prosecutor whose specialty is putting Republicans in jail, including the governor of Connecticut, literally for supposedly taking like $4,000, bribe or something with no evidence. And so I was also sued by an FBI agent in that Sandy Hook case, never said his name, never showed a picture of him, didn't know who he was, so he sued me. The guy never got harassed. He'd been on the stand. He got one phone call at his office after it happened to see if it was really FBI because he didn't have his FBI name on. His rifle was pointing up, not down on his back. People thought this guy's not real, so that they called. I didn't know who he was, and he got $94 million. Under the law in Connecticut, you can't sue somebody for defamation if you didn't say their name. Only say the name of one of the Sandy Hook people ever, and I admitted to that. And so that was the reality. And so the FBI was in there the whole time. We know because they bragged about it. Also, the Texas case, that they were giving all the discovery to the FBI, hoping to put me in prison. Then when I declared bankruptcy, the Justice Department is, under the law, it's very rare, can come into a case and oversee it. And so they actually came into the case, and in my depositions, they would have 2 federal agents literally staring at me while lawyers interrogated me And they were in the news, oh, he's hiding hundreds of millions, he's going to prison. And then, of course, none of that was true. I mean, I'm not a big, I mean, folks, if anything, I'm not organized, at all when it comes to money and stuff. And I go to a CPA, they do my taxes. And out of this whole, then they sent the IRS in 2 years ago to audit me. It was actually 2.5 years ago. It was a year-long audit. They tore the office apart. They were there dozens of times. And they said, this is very rare, but you are owed $4.2 million. And I have a copy of the cashier's check, and then I had to give that to the bankruptcy court that went into a black hole of lawyers.
Well, let me ask you this, because it gets a little, like you said, it gets a little complicated for people to understand. There's so many moving parts. I do want to get to, Elon Musk and the space, you requesting a space there. By the way, people get a free month of Mug Club right now if they use the promo code Alex. I know you're going to be back here in the continental United States. I don't know where you are, but I can guess. Let me ask you this, though. You do have a lawsuit planned yourself.
Yes.
Can you explain that to people so they understand what it is that you're...
Yes, and Stephen, I apologize for going on and on, but I can just let me just finish that last.
Go ahead,
I'll get into that. My point is, Justice Department, IRS, law firms, rigged courts, who are not allowed to defend yourself. This is the cocktail they've used against Trump. It's the cocktail that they're now using against everybody. And absolutely, the only reason I want to sue them is to get my name back. I don't even want money, but I want to be able to call Oblevis in. I want to be able to call their other lawyers in. I want to be able to call in the PR firms, because the mistake they made was run their mouth. I mean, the lawyers in Connecticut and Texas, and by the way, the Texas group's the same one suing Elon Musk, by the way, they got up at the courthouse steps when they won their cases. The judge had already found me guilty and then told the jury to find me guilty for a bunch of money. They said, our mission is to silence him. We don't want money. And that's now happening in the bankruptcy court, where the judge is like, wait, the law says you can get money, but the law doesn't say you get to silence people. And so basically there's now findings about to be made public that they're dealing in bad faith. So that's some inside baseball. But yes, I've talked to several different civil rights law firms, and I've had 4 conversations with 4 law firms since this just broke. Well, I was talking to them before it broke. So in the last week, they just broke a day and a half ago. It seems like a million years ago now. And so it's a big deal. It's all God.
Yeah.
Opening up the mouths of these evil people to then expose themselves. The Bible says the pit they dig for you is the pit they will fall into. And so absolutely, I don't like taking on the FBI and the CIA. But if somebody's on top of you, breaking your nose and punching your eyeballs out and gang raping you and running over you and backing over you, all you can do is fight back. That's why when I saw the targeting of you a few years ago, I called you. We're already friends then. And I said, listen, don't let it get to you. This is, you're successful. You're one of the top talk show hosts. You're a populist. People love you. Do not, and I know you're smart, but you haven't been through a lot of this yet. You've been through some stuff. I said, I know the cut of this jib. I know the signature. This is 100% the Justice Department, the CIA. They create the narrative. They look at things. They go, we'll take this and we'll take that. And we'll make Alex Jones a guy that bullies kids and pees on graves.
Exactly.
And then we'll make Steven Crowder this guy that, literally breaks women's necks and human sacrifices them. And it's just all made up. And then they just hype it and hype it to take what you're known for, being smart and being funny and, having a talented crew and reaching tens of millions of people. And now you're someone that, murders children on the side of the highway. And so just you understand, this is what comes with the territory. The good news is, it's backfiring now. And so when I talked to Elon for 2.5 hours a few months ago, and I've since, obviously talked to him a few other times, I'll leave it at that. He really gets it now and understands that it was all a psyop. And so, yes, there's a good chance I'll be doing a Spaces either Friday or Saturday with him. I'd love for you to be involved, but that's hopefully in the works. You never know. I was supposed to be on one with him, and we were talking to him with Zero Hedge a few months ago, but he had basically a migraine headache. And I believe he was the guy who works 20 hours a day. And so, that's going on. And hopefully, I'm just throwing this out there, hopefully Elon Musk will bankroll a lawsuit against the deep state, because because he's already bankrolled some other ones, for all the censorship and things. Right. Because the same people coming after him, the very same law firms are the ones suing him.
Right. Well, a couple of things I wanted to touch on here. First off, if you could just give me a short answer on this, because then I do want to get to Elon Musk and some of the conservatives who haven't really stood in the line of fire like they should. I know you're talking about these lawsuits. I know you can't give too much information, but since you were discussing this with law firms beforehand, this new footage that's been revealed, how did your lawyers respond? Did they say this definitely helps? Is it significant to them?
Absolutely, because the fact that he's worked at DHS, FBI, and manages the technicals of ops. So he's the guy that's kind of like managing, the technical systems. Well, he's an FBI agent. He's a CIA officer. He's got credibility, right? They're all a bunch of heroes and good guys. They don't lie. And so that's their narrative. Of course, it's not true, but he's telling the truth here.
Right.
And so definitely it's a major civil rights issue. Cut and dry. You already have congressional hearings going on with weaponization.
Yep.
Marjorie Taylor Greene is now calling for hearings on this, and it's even going to be involved in the FISA re-upping hearings. She's already announced that. Others have announced it. And so this is really a breakthrough moment, him running his big fat mouth.
Good.
And so bare minimum, he's probably going to end up being called before Congress.
What you saw,
yes, this is a big deal.
You saw he just removed, we just found out this morning, he removed his LinkedIn was removed and his Facebook. So that means that he's running and tucking tail. I wanted to get to, I know that Elon Musk called this disturbing. He put that out on X and you asked him to do a space. Let me kind of tell you something, Alex, that really bothers me. And I know you've had to deal with this. I know that Sound Investigations, I know they were working on this. And I know that, these kinds of things that, they circulate before they're made public. And there are a lot of people and outlets who could have run with this, who could have supported it and opted not to. And I tell you this has happened to me. People have seen it publicly, but for every time they see it publicly, they don't see it privately. For example, when I've been on Piers Morgan's show, every time he tries to get me to go on and denounce Alex Jones. And I just said, no, you're not going to get me to say that I agree with everything that he says, but you're not going to get me to denounce him or condemn him. Well, why? Because he's my friend. Because he's my friend. He's a good man. He's not, no one's perfect, and at least you are very transparent about it. But they always try and do that. And here's the thing. I've also had that in depositions. I've had that behind the scenes where the line of question, where you could not be less relevant. They go, and are you friends with Alex Jones? And every time I've just answered, yes. Yes, I am. And to be willing to take the risks that you do, and that a lot of people on Mug Club and people in independent media like Mr. Figueiredo, who's going to be on, that to me should be the rule, not the exception. So to see other conservatives out there go, well, yeah, this is wrong and it's railroading, but, we just don't want to touch it because it's Alex Jones and he's his own thing. You've been experiencing that for a long time. I would imagine that's why places like Rumble and Elon Musk are significant, because you and I both know there are people who put on the team jersey publicly, and they don't take on the fights that are actually difficult and require a little bit of fortitude.
Well, that's right. And this is a communist or totalitarian tactic where they'll pick one person to pick on at first, and then they'll say, oh, do you support this guy? And get everybody to turn against him or at least not support him. Then they move on to the next person. So that's wolves trying to cut, a sheep out of the herd or out of the flock so they can eat it. It's an absolute divide and conquer tactic, and it's pure crap. And I have friends, when they do things I think are wrong, I'll say, I think they're off base. But bigger than that, people that I'm not friends with, when I see a synthetic attack, when I see the media, the corporate press all piling on, I know what it is. That's their only power now because they have almost no viewers. But they can still scare politicians, scare media that you're going to be targeted if you talk to this person. Well, the reason they don't want people talking to Steven Crowder or Alex Jones or Tucker Carlson is because we're popular and we're telling the truth, and the organic population likes us. And we have the big audiences, so the media still, the corporate media, the dinosaur media still wants to be the gatekeepers.
Right.
And so all they're doing is gatekeeping, and that's their last power. They have almost no viewers. It's a complete joke. And I found that the hit pieces only create more support. And I'm not going to go into a long story, but just briefly, I'm here in Hawaii. It's already in the news. I'm here.
Oh, okay. I was trying to keep it under wreps, but you just doxed yourself. Go ahead.
But even TMZ said, oh, yeah, we snapped a shot of him, getting iced tea, by the way, at the bar. I was about being good. And people were coming over, shaking his hand, saying, good job. And I'm not bragging. It's not about me. It's that freedom's popular. If I was here in Hawaii. I like to come here every few years. I was here in Hawaii like 5 years ago, and I shook a lot of hands, but I got yelled at 4 or 5 times. I had a guy come over and step on my fingers when my hand was out of the hot tub and say, want some punk. I had to call security. I have literally shook, which I don't mind doing, but I can barely even go to the grocery store or walk down the street or go to the beach.
Sure.
The police, the people at the hotels, almost everybody. I mean, I was at a grocery store yesterday and had like 25 people lined up when I'm in the line, shaking my hand. Black, white, Asian, old, young, Hispanic, all listeners. So whatever the globalists have done, they've really, 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 really screwed up. Because these people aren't just like, hey, I like your show. They're like, hey, when are you coming back? I've seen Owen's doing the show. He's great, but where are you? You're here in Hawaii. And I've had a lot of people say, hey, man, we love Steven Crowder. Literally, every day somebody at the gas station, I love Steven Crowder, love you on the show. We are the media. But if people aren't public figures like we are, they don't get that feedback, which is cool to have anonymity. I'm like, oh, I'm famous. What I'm saying is they don't get to see how popular freedom is. So that's why the corporate media is after us, because they're a joke. They're discredited. They lied about WMDs on purpose. They killed 500,000 Iraqi kids and said it was a good price to pay Madeleine Albright. They're the ones letting fentanyl come in. They're the ones dissolving the border. It's Biden that let in 90+ thousand little kids, Senate report, that have come up missing, many of them in sex slavery and in factory slavery. We're not running factories with 12-year-olds. We're not sex slavery with 8-year-old girls being gang raped. We've done nothing. And so they go, oh, look, Stephen might have a crooked toenail. We heard that. Or, Alex Jones. It's a fraud, and people get it. So the system is so discredited now that their attacks on us are nothing but an endorsement.
Yeah.
That's why they're so, yeah.
Well, here's the one. Well, two things. I do have a crooked toenail. You didn't need to reveal that publicly. I'm sorry that you had to pay $25 for milk there in Hawaii. The inflation is unreal. I'm like, what? It's a $9 loaf. This better be magic bread. And I get asked all the time. One of the most common questions I get asked is, so is Alex Jones really like that? And I hope you don't mind this. What I do is I have one of, because you're a busy man, so you'll often leave me like voice messages. So I have one where there's no personal information, but he'll leave them for me like at 10 o'clock. And I was like, hey, Crowder, I'm sorry. I was on the road. And, what happened is, I don't know, this happened. I was at a golf course and I was under par. But, and then the globalist, and I go, this is him. This is him. He's the same guy all the time. And I say, like him or hate him, that is Alex Jones. But I will say this. The left does not affect. Their attacks don't work. The only effect that they have anymore, the only power they have, are quislings on the right. In other words, if there's an attack piece in the New York Times or in the Washington Post, people inherently know, or NPR, people know. The problem is when there's silence from conservatives, or when conservatives go along with it because they say, not me, no true Scotsman. Speaking of globalists, though, I do want to, just so people understand the significance of the threat, you use the term globalist, it really is a global problem. Here is actually Mr. Trudeau, I don't want to say Prime Minister, Justin Trudeau in Canadian Parliament talking about you to the government. Sorry, right clip. Here's the other clip.
Speaking of misinformation and disinformation, any responsible leader that receives an endorsement and support from proven conspiracy theorist and liar Alex Jones would have immediately denounced that. But that's not what the leader of the opposition did. He did absolutely nothing because those kinds of endorsements fit within his political strategy.
That's right away what they try and do. Like you said, divide and conquer. By the way, his dad is Fidel Castro, just to make it clear, in case you guys didn't know, or Liam Neeson. It could be either of those. I just want you to. I can't prove it, but I'll stand by it. Alex Jones, Nick DiPaolo is here, and he did have a question for you if you can.
First of all, thank you, Alex, for taking the slings and arrows and being the stand-up guy that you are. And this is only going to make you stronger the same way all the indictments with Trump and stuff. My question is, when Trump gets elected, how are they going to? How long is it going to take to uproot this cancerous deep state? I mean,
it's a good question.
How long does it take to? He wants to clean house. I don't know.
Do we think he'll do it?
Is that logistically possible? Yeah. And will he do it?
Trump is really a different man now. He's very hardcore. He's super informed. Before he was naive. He admits that to people like Roger Stone, who talks to him every day. Trump really gets it now. Before he thought, I'm the new CEO. I'll bring in the power structure. They'll take my orders. We'll make America great again. And now he understands that there really is a criminal deep state out to not just get him, but literally destroy America and dominate and control it and parlay our power into global domination. And so if he is able to get in and get past all of the manipulation, which I think obviously a landslide's coming, they're going to have real trouble blocking it. They're trying to keep him off balance with all these criminal cases and all these big fiascos with the Supreme Court deciding if that continues on. And so we're in for very, very tough times, very, very serious times. You have to admire Trump for being the man in the arena. And I stand with him, even though I don't agree with some of the things he does. Overall, he's trying to be the president. He was the president, and he's trying to represent the people as best as he sees fit. And so the attacks on Trump are attacks on the American people and our right to govern our nation. We take Trudeau. For those that don't know, it's a parliamentary system, so he got like 20-something% of the vote. Right. But he's still in power by sharing power with the other members of parliament. This is a guy who was asked, what's your favorite form of government? And he said, communist China's basic dictatorship. You can get stuff done. He's a guy that had a real SS officer, a real war criminal from Ukraine, a standing ovation.
Yep.
And so Pierre Poilievre, I'm like, hey, this guy, really is taking on the globalists. Wow, Canada deserves somebody better than Trudeau. And they go, oh, look, you just got endorsed by Alex Jones. You're Alex Jones. And Poilievre was smart enough to, not go along with their thing. You're right. I shouldn't be endorsed by him. And then they'd say, oh, see, but that's who you are.
Right.
That's a trap to get you to say you don't associate with somebody that likes you. And so Trudeau's a complete joke. He's trying to pass laws, to put people in jail for their speech. Well, they already do that, but for long prison sentences, he's propped up the media with over $1 billion up there. It's state-run.
Yeah, it's CBC, Canadian Broadcasting Corporation. And Alex, I hate to, but we do have this Brazilian journalist who's also experiencing, very similar kind of timeline to what you are. And for people watching, you can go to loudwithcutter.com/mugclub or rumble.com/mugclub or rumble.mugclub. What is the website? There's so many. Just go to Loud with Cutter, and if they enter in the promo code Alex, they'll get a month free. But where is the best place for people to find you and support you, Alex?
Just band.video or Real Alex Jones on X. And you can't share band.video still on X. It's some quirk in the system. So just go to madmaxworld.tv. And, of course, the evil Tomorrow's News Today, Infowars.com. Love you guys. Thank you so much. I look forward to seeing you guys soon.
Absolutely. Thank you, Alex. We really appreciate it, brother. This has been Alex Jones, everybody. And this is a time before we bring on Mr. Figueiredo, which is like Smith in Brazil. Hit the like button or download the Rumble app if you can. That's actually the best way to not lose touch. If you download the Rumble app, and you'll get those notifications straight on your phone. We're at the point where we have to uncouple ourselves from big tech. Because if you think for a second, we just talked about this with Donald Trump. You don't think that they're doing exactly what Donald Trump, what they're doing with him. There's someone behind closed doors saying, there's nothing we can do criminally. It's not, but you know what? We can just bog him down. We can damage him going into the election. We can change the statute of limitations on sexual assault there in New York right in time for the we can do all of those things. We know we don't have anything. We'll just use the tools available to us so we can damage his reputation. This is what they do. They go, hey, Alex Jones. This is Alex Jones. They misrepresent him to you. And they go, so everyone remember, that's Alex Jones. Alex Jones pees on the graves of children, right? And then they say, now we're going to make everyone else guilty by association. So they're afraid to even support someone they know. And that's not something that we do here. That's why we've created Mug Club. You've experienced that in comedy. I know we're not going to name names, but you've had people call you up who say, you really shouldn't say that, Nick. Your career would go further if you didn't. And you've not played. This is an entire room, an entire company of people who don't play well with others, but we play pretty well together.
Yeah, it's funny how the people that side with the truth are considered people who don't play well with others.
I know.
That's the world we live in. It's very weird.
And what's funny is people like you and Alex, look, I'm not going to lie. Nick DiPaolo can be kind of prickly, but he shows up. He shows up on time. He's excited to do the work.
Well, I'm white.
He's professional. That's not always the case, as you well know.
I'm not all white. You're right.
Arguable. Yeah.
Who said that? Me. Hitler? Go on.
They don't know yet. They don't know.
Take it easy, Feinstein.
What's coming on Friday?
No, but it
don't talk about my aunt like that. All right.
I would rather deal with 1,000 Nick DiPaolos and 1,000 Alex Jones than one passive-aggressive who passes themselves off as conservative and isn't willing to, actually stand in the pocket. And this brings us to what we're talking about, Elon Musk. We discussed this yesterday. We have some updates, and we have Mr. Figueiredo coming on, Paulo Figueiredo. Elon Musk and the Brazilian Supreme Court Judge Alexandra de Moraes? I hope I'm saying that correctly. De Moraes. They have been going after the timeline here. The more we add it up, especially when you look at what's happened with Rumble, is alarming. And it's not about what the left does. Here's what the left would do if they were completely unfettered. You're kind of seeing that in Brazil right now, where Rumble is not even available in Brazil. And this man who's a journalist there has had his passport revoked, his bank account's frozen, he's been deplatformed, and it all can be traced back to the government and really one key Supreme Court judge, Moraes. He basically thinks he's this guy, the mega mind to take down Musk. drives the point home, but it's childish. Now, just to give you an idea who this guy is, what did you say?
That's uncanny.
It is. It really is. It's a good call.
The last guy looked like my left nut. Same color.
And that's a problem. You have a circulation issue.
That's why I'm sitting like this today.
What are you doing to it? I'm picturing like the old chuck roast where they wrap it in that twine rope. Oh, boy, Al. Boy,
Chuck roast.
You know what I mean? They don't do that at butchers anymore where they wrap it in that like little like wicker twine rope.
Yeah.
And then it's like bulging.
And it
looks like Megamind.
I wear that on stage. Pick up a lot of people in the late 80s.
So this Mariah's, man, let me give you.
Mariah's Carey?
I know, it's
no,
right there. I was almost there.
I know. Go ahead.
He's currently serving 2 roles now in the Brazilian court system. So 2017, okay, he was put, I believe, in the Supreme Court there. Then there was a new court created. He's the president of the Electoral Court, okay? And he was appointed there just before the election of Lula, who, took out Bolsonaro, was a criminal before, but it got overturned by the Supreme Court. No corruption there. It's not like there's been a history of corruption in the intelligence agencies or the police forces or the Supreme Courts in Brazil. Hey, if you're watching from Brazil right now, tell me, if you're walking down the street and there's a gang member on one side and there's a member of your government on the other or a policeman, who do you trust? Which side of the street do you walk on? Trick question. Neither is good. But you probably take it with the gangbanger. Let's go through here. And something else, I really have a question before I bring this man on. I know a lot of Brazilians, not one, and there's, like I said, with one exception, who was a liberal journalist, is a fan of Lula. They all love Bolsonaro to a degree that you don't see with a lot of politicians. So you can comment below. Maybe I get it. It could be an echo chamber. Let's go through this timeline here. This this Justice, Mariah's. 2019, okay. This Supreme Court Chief, Justice, not him, but issued an order allowing the court to open their own investigations, okay? So they gave themselves permission to run investigations, okay? The first order was given to Mariah's. And the first thing that Mariah's did was order a magazine to retract an article accusing the Chief Justice of corruption. It's like, we're going to give ourselves the ability to investigate anybody. Okay, great. First order of business, we are going to order you to stop pointing out corruption. Think about that for a second. They're not even trying to hide it. What else has happened? This man, Mariah's, has arrested or ordered the arrest of 8 businessmen for WhatsApp messages. He's jailed people without trial for social media posts. He's banned Telegram. Oof. He's tried to, and this is something else too, before X, tried to bully Rumble into removing accounts. Okay, Rumble, where you're likely watching right now, said you have to remove these accounts. And Rumble said, no, we're not going to do that. So if the consequences, Rumble is no longer available in Brazil until we sort this out, that's what we're going to do. Rumble is not in the business of removing accounts if they are not breaking the law. And that's important. That's important. I'm glad that we have people like Rumble there, and now we also have X. We also have video of Mariah's admitting that he's a bad guy.
You're just giving up?
I'm the bad guy. I don't save the day. I don't fly off into the sunset. And I don't get the girl.
Mariah's also has, so you have X, you have Rumble. You have going after a magazine when you're now basically in charge of a new court. A new court that, handles elections that a lot of people think was corrupt. And if those people complained that it was corrupt, they were accused of rioting. I don't know if you see those parallels there. He has also personally ordered I would say witch hunt, political prosecution of our next guest, journalist Paulo Figueiredo. This man has had his passport revoked. He's had his bank accounts frozen. He's had his social media censored. All of this for simply having a point of view that is deemed unacceptable in Brazil. So please, let's welcome our new friend here. I hope we have him on the line. I know we're making this call internationally. Mr. Paulo Figueiredo. Mr. Figueiredo, can you see me, hear me, sir?
I can hear you and see you perfectly. If this call was international and I was in Brazil, I would be in jail. I'm in South Florida, so this is a domestic call.
Well, I apologize. I wanted it to seem more international because it makes us seem more cultured. But you still have an accent, so that's nice. It's not as severe as a lot of Brazilians. How did that happen?
I went to school here. I study here in several schools, and I've been here for 10 years. Otherwise, again, I would be in prison.
Yes, I can imagine. That seems to be the rule there in Brazil. A couple of questions before I ask you about some of these details. What is eso mean in Brazil? In jiu-jitsu, they would go, eso.
It means, yeah, that's right.
Oh, okay.
And it should come to train jiu-jitsu here in South Florida in the Valente brothers. They watch you, so you should come here.
And then what is aye? They would say if someone gets it, they would go aye. What does that mean?
It means, again, that's good. Yeah, all right.
Okay. And then what means you can't do that? That's chich porra.
Yeah, that's a bad word.
Is it a bad word?
Yeah, it's like, yeah, shit. It's like, don't do that shit.
Don't say shit on my show. We have children who watch, okay? Maybe in Brazil, carnival with butt and boob. It's okay. Not here. We don't do here. Okay. Porra.
Yes, that's exact. Porra means something else.
Oh, okay.
It's the translation is shit, but the technical term would be sperm.
Okay.
Porra means
whoa. Wait, sperm? Like
never shall the two meet.
Right? Yes, never shall the two. Wait, spurn? Like to spurn somebody, or did you say sperm as in ejaculate?
No, the actual ejaculation fluid.
No.
That's what porra means. But in Rio, where I'm from Rio, Brazil. That's where jiu-jitsu became popular. And porra is like, we say porra like Americans say the F word after every sentence.
Oh,
so yeah.
That's not how we cuss. We don't say the F word after every sentence.
I've seen it before.
Okay. We talk about sperm. That's with compliments means there's many of you and only take one to get victory. So that's porra is compliments to me. Let me go through this. What's your specific relationship with, well, before I do that, where's the best place for people to find you and support you right now? Since you're stateside, is it Rumble?
The La Quinta Inn in
Melbourne. Yeah, I'm on Rumble. I have a Rumble channel. My show's in Portuguese on Rumble, but the U.S. audience can follow me on X at Rio P. Figueiredo, which is my last name. I know it's hard to follow. That's the way it is.
Yeah.
At Rio P. Figueiredo, I'm on X, and most of my posts are in English. So they can follow me there. My Rumble channel is still in Portuguese, although Rumble, as you properly said, is not banned in Brazil. They decided to not comply to the rules, the crazy orders by Alexandre de Moraes, and so they closed Rumble and Locals, by the way, as well. Both are closed to Brazilian audience. If you're accessing Brazilian IP,
I wanted to ask you, how do you? What are your thoughts on that? Because I know that obviously that's a significant portion of your business, how you make a living. But I would imagine that on moral grounds, you're supportive of them, rebelling against the Brazilian government. But what's your overall feeling on that? That Brazilian fans can't watch you unless they maybe have a VPN.
Well, it hurt me tremendously, but I actually talked to them. They were courteous enough to let me know what they were going to do, and I fully support it because, like Elon Musk said, moral principles are more important than profit, and that was the basis. All this started when I tweeted to Elon Musk saying, well, you're saying all these rules are illegal, so why comply? Locals and Rumble didn't. And that's when he said he was going to lift all the sanctions in Brazil. So I fully support it, although I think of course, it hurts my business, right?
Yeah, I know, and I'm sorry to hear that. Hey, maybe there's a way that Mug Club and what you're doing, Mr. Figueiredo, can pair. We can put a poll out there. We probably could use some Brazilian Portuguese people coming on over, giving them access to more content. Let me ask you this: what is your specific relationship with Justice Moraes? Because he is at the center of a lot of this, and the more I was doing research, it kept coming back to the same person.
Well, he is the de facto dictator of Brazil. So I don't have a relationship with him other than I was a journalist on the mainstream media. Okay, I was on prime time. I used to have sometimes more viewers than Fox News on prime time in the U.S. It's like I'm talking about millions of people watching every day on TV, regular cable TV, cable news TV. The show that I was on was considered the number one political show in the country for a long time. So. And one day on December 30th, 2022, so after Lula's election, I woke up with the order of cancellation of my Brazilian passport, which was unheard of. The ban of all my social media in Brazil. You can access my social media if you're not in Brazil or if you're using a VPN, not in Brazil. My YouTube channel had like 1 million people, over 1 million people there. My Twitter account, 1.4 million people, just to give you an idea, and all other platforms. And one day I woke with everything blocked, and plus all my assets in Brazil, all my assets and bank accounts were frozen. Plus, he issued a fine every time I stated any fake news, which I believe I've never did in my life, but depends on what you think fake news are. So that's my relationship with him, and I have been like that for a year and a half now.
Well, and let me ask you this, because you said de facto dictator, Moraes. Now, he's a Supreme Court judge. So the president there, former criminal, until the Supreme Court said, we're not going to do that anymore, Lula. What's the relationship then between Moraes and Lula? It sounds to me like you're saying he might be in a greater position of control than the president.
Oh, he definitely is. And it's not me saying that, right? Elon Musk said that he pretty much controls Lula. And it's interesting because a few months ago, Lula's party supported a bill in the U.S., in Brazilian Senate, saying that giving some limitations to the Supreme Court. And the Supreme Court justices went nuts, and they started sending messages, WhatsApp messages, to journalists on mainstream media saying, look, we allow him to go back to power. So he was like, he can't turn against us. We defend the democracy. We guarantee his election. So they brag about it. They brag about the fact that they brought him to power. So and if you look at the Twitter files, Brazil, which they were released last week, it's undeniable that Moraes played a key role censoring conservatives and therefore favoring Lula's election. And even when I was on TV, I used to get orders from the court saying, you can't say this, you can't say that, you can't say that. And this is unheard of.
Right.
I couldn't say that Lula was unconvicted because this is a little. It was just us being smartasses in a sense, because he was convicted and then he was not found not guilty. He was unconvicted by the court. I couldn't say he was an ally of Venezuelan dictatorship. I couldn't say he was an ally of the Nicaragua dictator. So I couldn't say stuff like that on air by court orders.
Wow.
And we saw that was happening in an even broader scale on all social media. Twitter was the one that we have access to the files, but it was happening on all social media.
Can I ask you something? Because you were on television for a very long time. That means you were obviously broadcasting when Bolsonaro was in office. And you've talked about these orders coming straight to you. Any of them ever come from Bolsonaro, the supposed fascist, saying you can't say that if you were critical of him or any of his colleagues ever?
No, I actually used to criticize Bolsonaro a lot. A lot of my viewers didn't like it, but I think it's part of my job. But I tried to be fair with him, which is unique in the mainstream media. Here in the U.S., you can criticize Donald Trump, but you don't need to lie about it. And but the other journalists, the mainstream media in Brazil is not just as bad as in the U.S., is way worse than in the U.S.
Mm-hmm.
So, and the amount of lies they spread against Bolsonaro is unbelievable, and most of them were proven fake news, false, throughout the time. And Bolsonaro never did anything to them. It's to the point that some people said he deserved to die, just like we saw in the U.S. with Trump. The same thing in Brazil. We had mainstream newspapers with a column saying, "Well, I wish Bolsonaro was dead," and stuff like that. And nothing happened to no one.
Right.
And to be fair, and I have to be absolutely, I've been in this game for a long time, and I've been in this game before Bolsonaro and during the first run of the Workers' Party, the Socialist Party, Lula and Dilma in power, and I criticized them heavily without fear. And now in Brazil, everyone is terrified. Members of Congress, whatever is left on the press, even the more moderate leftist journalists, they're terrified of criticizing Moraes. Not Lula. We can criticize Lula. We cannot criticize Moraes or the Supreme Court. That's called an attack on the institutions, an attack on democracy, and spreading misinformation. And therefore, although there's nothing under Brazilian law against that, they can throw you in prison, and they have.
Yeah. Well, it's really scary. I mean, in South America, sort of, coups happen all the time. It's just kind of pick a country and pick a span of 5 years. It doesn't matter if you're going to go Colombia this year, you're going to go Chile, you're going to go Bolsonaro, you're going to go Brazil, or is what they would try and say. I know you guys had one in the 1960s, I believe, and I know there were sort of semi-coups since then. That happens quite a bit. And Brazil is an interesting place because it seemed like it was going one direction. And like I said, I know a lot of Brazilians. Every single one of them was a very big Bolsonaro supporter. I knew one who wasn't, Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu practitioner. You may know him, was a journalist. And I would be curious to see his thoughts now because I asked him about Lula. I didn't ask him about Moraes. Let me ask you this. How does one, because there are 11 justices, right? If I'm not mistaken, there on your Supreme Court in Brazil? There are 11.
Correct.
How does one person, one single justice, I mean, this is the reason that your passport was revoked. This is the reason that your bank accounts were frozen, that your social media, that you were deplatformed. This is the person involved with the Twitter files, right? It all goes back to Moraes. How does one, going after that magazine, how does one justice, when there are 11, have that kind of unilateral power to get accounts removed and entire platforms?
Well, he has a lot of support. And just so you know, it's very rare to see a jiu-jitsu practitioner that's leftist. That's very rare.
It's very rare. Yes.
It's very rare.
But you know why? Because they're individuals.
I know.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
They live in personal strength and solving things, and it's very interesting.
Yeah.
But that said, Moraes has a lot of support, and he has support, global support. I mean, really global support, and to the fact that the United States directly interfered on Brazilian elections. And this is not a conspiracy theory. That's on mainstream media, that Joe Biden sent the Secretary of Defense, the Director of CIA, the Advisor for International Affairs to Brazil to exert pressure on public officials, including generals, including politicians, including bureaucrats, to not contest the electoral result if Lula won. So, and Biden was the first one to recognize Lula immediately after he won the election.
Right.
And that's direct interference. And we have reports of that on mainstream media. It puzzles me. Actually, doesn't, but I'll pretend it does.
Yeah.
That it puzzles me why the Department of State is supporting a guy that's very anti-American, because all Lula's policy was they were very anti-American.
Sure.
Lula is pro-Hamas. Lula is pro-China like crazy. He is pro-Iran. We've been docking Iranian warships in the Brazilian ports. He's pro-Venezuela. He's pro the drug cartels in South America. He's undermining the dollars on the BRICS. He's trying to make the yuan the international currency for trades. Like, why do the Biden administration support that? It's almost like they hate America.
Yes. It's almost like it's the same party of people who supported Chavez. It's almost like it defies reason. Yeah, Nick, you have a question.
And he said, if I'm following this right, Lula is sort of he's sort of behind the scenes controlling Moraes.
Moraes is the one behind the scenes. He's a Supreme Court justice.
Oh, okay.
Lula is the president.
It was sort of the same dynamic, I thought, as Biden being controlled by.
Yeah, by the.
No, so Lula and his allies, they appointed. Yeah. So Moraes was appointed by the vice president of Dilma Rousseff, which was the successor of Lula's party. The vice president, Dilma, was impeached for defrauding public accounts, so she was impeached. And then this guy, Temer, which was more of a centrist guy, he took office, and then he appointed Moraes. So if you take out of 11, 9 were appointed by the left,
right,
in Brazil.
Wow.
So that's that's why they can do whatever they want. But they have a lot of support. They have support from the globalist community.
He said it wrong. Yeah.
It's in English. You say with an H, like poha.
I'm from Boston. I'm from Boston. I couldn't get that word right in a million years.
No, that's right. You're from South, but it's okay. Later we
like
hold.
A Kennedy. Poa.
We're gonna hold together with the brothers Valenche. So it's just, it is rare, by the way, like you talk about too with jiu-jitsu guys. That's kind of the community. I think that's why we have a significant viewership in Brazil. We're going to start translating some of our content to Portuguese because, obviously appearing on Joe Rogan and being involved to some degree in the mixed martial arts community. It's a very strong sort of rugged individualist community. I see a real populist groundswell, or have been for a while there with Bolsonaro. And it was very surprising to me to see this shift. And it just made me very aware that it seems like it's a shift in spite of public sentiment, not as a byproduct of it. And I see a lot of the similarities, with what they've done. They just accuse Bolsonaro and people on the right of being exactly what they are. They accuse him of being a fascist while they silence journalists and try and get people removed. They accuse him of not being willing to relinquish power while they effectively appoint a shadow government, right? That's what they've done here in the United States. They've said Donald Trump is a fascist. Fascists don't typically lower your taxes and give you more access to firearms if you're a law-abiding citizen. But
or arrest your political opponents.
Right. Well, exactly. That's what we see.
Mariah's
exactly
guy is a black belt in corruption is what he's got.
That's exactly what he is. A lot of similarities. And yeah, I think a big reason that they would all hate America is because the idea of America would be the safeguards, checks, and balances to act as a stand against corruption. And of course, they want to destroy those checks and balances while demanding that people recognize and respect the institutions that they falsely prop up. Education, they want to pack the court. Let me ask you this, because I want to continue on Mug Club, which is, of course, powered by locals. You know what? Let's do that. You guys follow on X, Real P Figueiredo. You can go and follow him. What's your URL for locals and Rumble? And we'll continue this on Mug Club.
It's pfigueiredo.locals.com, and Paulo Figueiredo, my name, is on my channel on Rumble. And people can support me on Locals if they think it's worth as well.
Absolutely.
Locals is still honoring everything. They're still sending all the support. It's just that Brazilians can't access through the website. They can still do it through the app, though.
Yeah.
So I'm still there. I'm still posting on Locals.
I know, but what? Look, I appreciate you taking the risk, because I know that you take a hit and standing there saying, yeah, but morally, this is something that we have to do. We've got to be taking a stand now. Rumble could have just removed you and a few Brazilian creators, right? They had that option. Either way, you're kind of up shit creek. I'm sorry, but they decided to say, no, we're not going to comply. And hopefully we see more people emboldened like we see with Elon Musk and X. Stay right there, Mr. Figueiredo. Also, if you search Paolo, I knew a Paula, but it's a very common name. There's Paulo, the Paula. I get it. I know so many Silvas, and I know so many Paulos or Paolas. It's like John over there. We'll make sure your URL's in the description. Let's continue with Mr. Figueiredo on Mug Club. If you're watching on Rumble, you can click, join right there, continue watching. And YouTube, I don't know if we're still there today. Probably shouldn't be. Piss off.
When are you going to stop watching that Louder with Crowder show so I can have a turn on the TV?
Geez, you can fit back in your f***ing wedding dress.